Now, calls are growing for an inquiry into the decision to charge Constable Zachary Rolfe over the fatal shooting of Kumanjayi Walker in the Territory 2 years ago. Rolfe was trying to arrest Walker when the 19-year-old stabbed him with a pair of scissors and the police officer shot him. Body cam footage shows Rolfe shooting Walker a second and third time while the teenager was struggling with another officer on the ground. Now, Rolfe was acquitted of all charges on the grounds of self-defence. And we heard from his barrister last night about calls for an inquiry as to why he was charged in the first place. Matt Cunningham is our Darwin Bureau Chief, and he joins me now. Thanks for joining us, Matt. You're all over this very, very important story. We mentioned yesterday that the Northern Territory Police Association and the opposition up there also want an inquiry as to why charges were even laid here. Just how serious is the push for something more to happen?
Well, pretty serious, Chris. I've just come from question time in the Northern Territory Parliament. It was the only thing that the opposition leader, Leah Finocchiaro, was asking about. And I think that people are keen to get some more answers from the Chief Minister, Michael Gunner, around those comments he made when he went to Yuendumu 3 days after the shooting. Now, he has made it clear that he was talking about the coronial investigation when he made those comments, that consequences would flow when he was speaking to those community members. But that clearly
interrupt you.
One of a couple of things that...
I'll just interrupt you, Matt, because I want to hear more on that. But we just have those comments from Michael Gunner in 2019. Let's see them.
And the coroner will seek to answer those questions that you have, those questions that I have. And I can promise you that that investigation will be independent, and the consequences will flow as a result of that investigation.
There we go. They're the critical comments. Matt, tell us more about the reaction.
Well, as I say, Michael Gunner has been saying that he was referring clearly to a coronial investigation, not to the criminal investigation, but it's clear those comments are among some that have upset not just Constable Rolfe, but also the Northern Territory Police Association. And of course, you had David Edwardson QC, Constable Rolfe's barrister, on your show last night, relaying his concerns about those comments, perhaps even more concerning the comments of the ICAC Commissioner at the time, Ken Fleming. Now, Constable Rolfe was charged 1 day after Michael Gunner made those comments at Yuendumu. 2 days later, Ken Fleming spoke at a Black Lives Matter rally in Alice Springs at the time that he'd been charged with overseeing the police investigation into Constable Rolfe and made some further inflammatory comments. So there are concerns around both the comments of the Chief Minister and the ICAC Commissioner at the time. I think that's why we're hearing these calls from the opposition, the Northern Territory Police Association, and indeed from David Edwardson, for there to be that independent inquiry into that decision to charge Constable Rolfe with murder.
Now, in summary, though, I mean, the background to this is, of course, in that remote community, there was outrage at the killing, which is understandable. And there was a sense that there needed to be some sort of consequences. Consequences needed to flow. So the allegation here is that there's the appearance of possible political interference to make sure a charge was laid, rather than just a cool, independent, clinical investigation of the facts.
That's right. Now, we should make it clear Michael Gunner has denied that he has had any involvement in the decision to charge Constable Rolfe and says that he had no meeting with the Director of Public Prosecution. There are a couple of other things, though, that have raised concerns. In particular, some notes of detectives who were investigating this case that have been made public since the trial. These are notes by Detective Sergeant Kieran Wells and Detective Sergeant Isabel Cummins from the Northern Territory Police, who raised their serious concerns about the haste with which Constable Rolfe was being charged. And to use David Edwardson's words, Chris, in the absence of any meaningful investigation. He was hit with that murder charge just 4 days after the shooting. A lot of people asking questions about how, given the contested nature of that incident, and we just heard that play out over 5 weeks during his trial in the Supreme Court, the fact that he'd been stabbed before shot one was fired, the fact the prosecution even agreed that shot one was reasonable and necessary in the circumstances, how it was that he was charged with murder, the most serious charge under our law in this country, after just 4 days and without, as his lawyer says, any meaningful investigation.
Just briefly, your bet surely is they'll have to cave in and have some sort of inquiry into this?
Well, the new ICAC Commissioner, Michael Riches, who took over from Ken Fleming, indicated last week that he was looking into this matter and the possibility that there would be some kind of independent inquiry. Now, you know, I've lived and worked in the Northern Territory for a long time, Chris, so I'd say it's no guarantee. But I think Michael Riches, the new ICAC Commissioner, who I'd have to say is doing a pretty good job, a much better one than his predecessor, he's made it clear that he's looking into this matter pretty seriously. I think there's enough public concern around at the moment that he might actually go ahead with that inquiry, but of course that will be a decision for him.
It will indeed. Thanks, Matt. Matt Cunningham there, our Darwin Bureau Chief, who is all over the detail as ever.